Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to you, depending on what part of the world that you're residing in. I bring you greetings from the United States, from the great state of Michigan, also known as the Mitten State. And you are watching Get Into It live chats with Kimberly Willis. And this podcast is all about bringing in cancer conversations, highlighting survivors, doctors, caregivers, just really about this ugly thing called cancer. And I am your host, Kimberly Willis, your wellness advocate. And I help provide different products and services that really helps to assist you with everything cancership. So if you'll see my site right there, it says survivorscorner.net, and you can follow me either on that website where I help provide different styling for just helping you get through your transitions through cancer. I also help you with survivors, where you see one of the t-shirts behind me. I give you all the inspiration there. I write books, but then I also help you smell good, y'all. I really care about the whole holistic thing about you. So go ahead and follow me on IG, follow me on Facebook, or even right here on YouTube and LinkedIn. So you can do all those things. But enough about me. I want to make sure that you like, comment, and share on this whole episode. And just to be able to get this wisdom that you're about to get from our next guest. I'm so excited to introduce her. I actually just met her not too long ago. But have you ever had those divine connections where just things just link up? That's what it was like with this sister here. And I'm going to read a little bit of her bio. It says, Dr. Erica B. Walls is a wife, mother, and visionary leader who connects, educates, and inspires others towards excellence. She is the owner and CEO of Inspire to Excel, a career coaching firm that empowers women to gain and to retain good, not just good, good jobs. And she Inspired to Excel helps clients to clarify their visions, boost confidence, sharpens their skills, creates a solid plan, and achieve professional goals. Erica is also a professor at George Washington University in Washington, D.C. And if you have already followed her on LinkedIn, you saw a beautiful picture of how she was leading some women into their graduation. And there she helps students gain knowledge of public service and social impact, enhance leadership skills, and make smart long-term decisions. But you know what? Above all else, Erica is a survivor in constant pursuit of her dreams to empower women to achieve their dreams. Through God and the support of many, she overcame teenage domestic violence to become a confident woman and mentor, and used public assistance as a stepping stone to reach the next level. Progressed from GED recipient to earning a doctorate. I'm going to repeat that again. She progressed from a GED recipient to earning a doctorate, and strategized her way from employee to business owner, and defeated breast cancer to advocate for women's holistic well-being. None of that was easy. Rather than proud, she is grateful. Those challenges and accomplishments developed her into the leader she is today, and revealed her purpose to use her gifts, skills, and experience to empower women to achieve their dreams and big goals. Before we get her on the show, I want you to see the reel that she created.
Hi, I'm Erica Walls. Sharing my cancer journey means using my experiences to help others. It means shining a light in what was a very dark place that was filled with confusion and a lot of questions. and yet I am a survivor. I hope that by sharing my cancer story that it motivates other women to be vigilant about their health. And I hope that it inspires women that you can be victorious and live your life with a sense of purpose. Let's get it.
I love it. All right, let's bring up our guest, Erica Walls. Hello, beautiful.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Kimberly. Good to see you.
Yes. So let's get into it. So before we go into your story, I got some guests already that wants to say hello to you. We got Mary Wells that's saying good afternoon, ladies. And she also
Hey, Miss
said
Mary.
congratulations.
Thank
Hello,
you.
Mary.
Thank you.
If you guys remember, Mary was a past guest of this show and is a wonderful entrepreneur of one word encouragement. So make sure that you follow her as well. Thanks for joining us today, Mary. All right,
Thank
Erica,
you.
let's get into this. How are you today?
Blessed.
That's amazing on this
Blessed.
terrific Tuesday.
Feeling good. Yes. And the sun's
Let's
shining and I'm on with you. So hey.
yay! Let's get
Yes.
into it. So we heard a lot about your bio. Let's dive in a little bit more of your personal story, but outside of the cancer. Tell us a little bit
Okay.
more about yourself.
Sure. So I am originally from Indianapolis, born and raised. I have two sons who, they grow up fast. They don't
Mhm.
stay babies forever.
Yeah, yeah.
So, once they had reached adulthood, I moved on to Washington, D.C. to pursue my doctorate in women's social welfare policy, which basically is the study of how and why policies, how they affect women differently than they do men. For
Mhm,
example, what we all call welfare, temporary assistance to needy families, disproportionately impacts women. 95% of TANF recipients are women.
mhm.
Therefore, all these rules that Congress comes up with over how women who earn low incomes are to live their lives, we're talking about women.
Yeah,
So it's very important, I believe, for those individuals to have a seat at the table. If
yes.
rules are being made about your lives, you should participate in those rules being made in order that people are truly benefited by them.
Absolutely. I agree. I think having a seat at the table is very important
Mhm.
to have a very diverse table, something that you should get like minds. You should get like minds to achieve goals, but not necessarily backgrounds. I think it's very important to have men, women in different cultures to have different
Mhm.
perspectives of how to approach things. And there's no one size fit all. So, just like you
Mm-mm.
were saying, for all these decisions for women, it's very important for women to have a voice about different things that we have to end up living with our lives. So I absolutely love that.
Yes.
We're going to dive
Yes.
a little
Thank
bit
you.
more about your educational journey, a little bit more, but let's talk about
Mm.
your cancer journey. Can you explain like how you found your cancer and just your journey through that?
Sure, sure. So I discovered a small lump in my left breast in February 2018. I would do self checks pretty regularly. Never took it real seriously because, I get in my steps and I was eating organic fruit from Whole Foods. So
Mhm.
I couldn't get cancer. That couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, when I discovered the lump, it scared me, and I admit I ignored it for about 30 days, or at least I denied it. How about that?
Mhm.
And when it did not dissolve and go away, I knew that it was something that I had to see about.
Yes.
And so I was very blessed and fortunate. I used to work in the oncology arena as a marketer at a large pharmaceutical company. in oncology, of all things.
Mhm.
And so I had a lot of contacts, and one in particular is and was a patient advocate squared. I'll just call her
Mhm.
Linda House. I'm sorry, Linda Bohannon. She recently got married. I'm going to shout out
Okay.
her name.
Congratulations.
And yeah, and she's also a registered nurse.
Mhm.
And I emailed her because I couldn't even speak. And I told her that I'm
Mhm.
emailing you because I can't even speak. I found this lump and I don't know what to do. And she emailed me back and she said, okay, you need to contact Breast Care for Washington in DC and you ask for Emily, who is a nurse navigator, and she
Mhm.
will take care of you. And that is what I did. And what I need you to understand, Kim, is that at the time I was a broke graduate student
Mhm.
with no health care.
Wow.
But I was over 40 years old. So this is not good. I
Yeah.
was really in la la land thinking, oh, I'll be fine. No, we have to be
Mhm.
vigilant about
And you
our
got
health.
time.
Ooh, I was 42. I had not had a mammogram yet.
Mm.
So long story short, I contacted Breast Care for Washington, went in, had a mammogram, then an ultrasound, a biopsy. This was over the course of 2 weeks. And then a few days later, I got a phone call from the oncologist, Dr. Regina Hampton,
Mhm.
who was also a co founder of Breast Care for Washington. And she hesitantly said, yeah, it's cancer.
Mhm.
And I remember I sat in a chair in my living room and I thought, okay, life is about to be different.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I knew at that moment.
You know, the topic of this show, it says beating the odds and betting on yourself. And shout out to the breast care for Washington for providing you the resources that you needed to continue your cancer journey and the treatment with thereof. Explain the mindset of someone who knows something is wrong with their body and then they have no insurance. Explain to them if they didn't have an Emily in their life to tell them to go, hey, this is the resources. Should they shy away, or what steps? How would you speak to that person to encourage them to see about themselves and not feel ashamed that they don't have insurance?
Sure. Thank you for saying that because I did feel ashamed. So I'm glad that that comes
Mm,
across because I knew better. I
mhm.
just didn't do better. And that is just not okay. But I would say for anyone who does not currently have insurance, that there are resources. Cancer Support Community is an organization that you can reach out to. They are national. They can
Yes.
connect you. The American Cancer Society, they know who you should contact.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's not that you have to know directly where to go. You just need to know who knows where you need to go.
Yes.
And so not only did Breast Care for Washington connect me with all of the physical resources I needed, but they also helped me to attain the financial resources
Oh, that's important.
necessary.
Yes.
And we're talking about quite a cancer care is extremely
Yes.
expensive.
Absolutely expensive. Oh my gosh.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like I remember I think I had an MRI and a surgery, and those 2 items alone, when I got my, estimated benefits, it was like $35,000, and I was like, "If you don't have insurance, that's like that can really make you pause." So I like that you are encouraging them to see about themselves. Please don't stay home. Don't think that you have to, accept it as a terminal disease at this point because you
No, and do not ignore it.
yes, do
And
not
if you
ignore it.
you need to find some whys, WHY apostrophe S.
Mhm,
So I am a Christian. I
Mhm.
know and believe that I will go to heaven when all this is over. And that is good.
Mhm.
I also, at the time, had well, I was just about to get engaged. I didn't know that.
Mhm.
But within a month, my now husband proposed to me.
Wow.
I am a mother.
Mhm.
I am an aunt. I am a sister.
Mhm.
It was not good enough that I was too scared, and now they are mourning me because I didn't do anything about it. That did not sit well with me.
Mhm.
That did not sit well. My husband and I met at church, and so we, would go to service every week while we were dating, and
Mhm.
the idea, I mean, it's almost sounds funny, but the idea of him going to church alone, "Where's Erica?" "Oh, she died."
Yeah.
That was just more than I could even lay
Mhm.
on him.
Mhm.
So, for the sake of those I love, I had to investigate it and
Yeah.
then fight it.
Absolutely. It's funny the amount of fight that we have within us sometimes doesn't even reside just for ourselves. It's about
That's what I'm
others,
saying.
about our children or
Yes.
family, because we know the value that we give to others. I think I had a post the other day about we know the value that we give to others, but sometimes we forget the values that we give ourselves. So
Mhm.
it's very important to know that what we give to others is what we can also give ourselves, and to know that our lives are worth fighting for with that.
We matter.
And shout out to your husband, man, for just being dope. We're gonna talk about your love story. Instead of love and basketball, we're gonna call it love and cancer.
You know what? Love and Basketball was on BET last night. That is
Oh,
too
wow.
funny. It's
It's
gonna
a
be the part
classic.
2.
It is a classic. So I want
Yeah.
to dive in real quick, and we're gonna get back into the love fest of everything, and dive more into your story. Um, I want to talk about the beating of the odds part of the topic of our show today. So you have two kids, but one of them you had very early. And I want you to talk. You're not new to persevering. I think it's just embedded in your DNA. So to be a teenage mom, to get a GED, to have to get public assistance, and to also had no insurance and had to get free resources, you are not um, uh, new to persevering through adversity, but then also rising above any talk back or chatter that people might have to say. Some people really look down upon those who are teenage mothers. People look down upon those who are on public assistance. People look down upon those who don't have insurance because yes, some people abuse the system, and I don't care what you do and what arena that it is, someone's going to abuse something. Someone's going to abuse the speeding limit. Someone's going to abuse hurting somebody. Someone's going to abuse narcotics. It's just a part of our nature for some individuals. However,
Mhm.
there are resources that's out there, and it says in your bio, that is temporary, and some people need that because let's face it, I'm actually a liaison for the cancer support society community, and really I know that they are really driven on helping those in certain communities who are in disparaging communities who are not getting the resources like other people. It does exist that some communities and some backgrounds are not getting the same resources like others are. So there is a gap. So unfortunately, it creates that's why there's resources that's out there to help catapult you in that. So explained about how were you able to develop this perseverance and to rise above the chatter?
Oh my goodness. How did I rise above the person? Here's what's interesting. I'm realizing more and more. I'm now 46 years old. My life has been a crazy quilt.
Mhm. Wow.
Every bit of it purposeful.
Mhm.
And I've only recently accepted that. I'm telling that to the whole world.
Wow.
Let me tell you why I say that. Um, I grew up with the expectation that I would go to college, not where are you going to go, not are you going, but where are you going?
Mhm.
And then through some trauma and pain and drama in my family, I lost my way when I was an early teenager and going into adolescence. Um, I was very naive.
Mhm.
I just wanted to be accepted and loved, like all of us do.
Mhm.
And then when I became pregnant at 16, I was very, very scared and did not know what to do. But here's what's interesting. I'm going to be real. Being on public assistance in the neighborhood I lived in was not anything to be ashamed of. Most people were.
Mhm.
And whole lot of young ladies were pregnant and, you just go
Mhm.
down and get your food stamps and it was no big deal.
Mhm.
As a younger girl, I would not have ever imagined that that would have been my path, but here I was,
Mhm.
and I had a baby to take care of, and so that's what I did. And I was able to remain in my mother's home and to receive a welfare check, as we like to call it.
Mhm.
And then I had the audacity to have my second son within 2 years. And I do use the word audacity because I did not have the resources, nor was I thinking clearly about anything. I wasn't focused on what I was doing. What?
Mhm.
Then finally, um, I got my first full time job when I was around 18 or 19 years old at a bank operations center making minimum wage. And
Mhm.
I started earning my own money and I liked it. I
Mhm.
said, man, this is kind of nice.
Nice.
And then hang on a minute. Let me tell you more. After that first year of working, we have within the tax code something called earned income tax credit.
Mhm.
So I received a tax refund. It was like $3,000. I thought it was a million. So I was
Mhm.
like 19 years old with 3 grand and these
Mhm.
two little boys. And so I got a car. We already, by the time we moved into a little apartment, it was Section 8 or something.
Mhm.
And then something in me clicked. I was about 20 years old. And the click was, Erica, you can do more than this.
Mm.
Yeah, we got an apartment and it was cute. It was furnished. My boys had beds and they were going to daycare, which I think was government sanctioned or something while I went to work. And I thought, do more than this. And I was
Mhm.
always really bright. And I say that as a blessing from God, always.
Mhm.
But I, just went through some really, really tough things and I really forgot who I was for a little while. And then when that happened, and then my father um, bugged me to death about starting college. And by the time I had gotten a GED, because I knew that I had to have some kind of high school diploma, I had left high school and I was pregnant. And he bugged me so bad about it that just for he can be quiet, I went ahead and just took a okay, leave me alone. I took a college class in May 2007. I
Mhm.
started at what we call IUPUI, Indiana University, Purdue University in Indianapolis. It's a mouthful.
Mhm.
And it was an algebra class. I was always really good at math, and I got an A plus.
Wow.
And I said, I might like this school thing.
Mhm.
So, long story short, or long, I continued on, and it by that time I continued to get better and better jobs. Initially, temporary jobs, and then eventually full time jobs that paid well for where I lived. For the cost of living was low, and I was doing fine, 40 hours a week with benefits. My two
Mhm.
boys. Um, we eventually bought a house and we're living well and doing fine. But yeah, so I continued on and ended up finishing my undergrad. It took me 10 years to complete it. I
Wow.
started in 97, I finished it in '07, and but I went, part time. I worked full
Mhm.
time. And it was a grind. It was a grind. And but hey, we made it. So after doing that, I immediately got a very good job
Mhm.
um, for the pharmaceutical company that I alluded to earlier. And then things really got good for us because we were making real money and just continued to move on from there. And so that perseverance, to answer your question, from having to climb up the rough side of a mountain,
Mhm.
and for that matter, a mountain that I never imagined that I would have to climb, whatever that may mean. I don't
Mhm.
think anyone should have to live a hard life, but when I was younger, it just did not seem that that was gonna be my trajectory,
Mhm.
but it was. And like I said, finished that. I worked at the pharmaceutical company for a few years. I was then laid off due to a massive company-wide layoff that had nothing to do with me. It was last in, first out.
Mhm.
And I got to thinking, you know what? If I can work this hard helping this company to be successful, what could I do on my own?
Yes.
Yeah. So I then went back to school to get my master's degree in nonprofit management. I actually fell in love with nonprofits because I started to volunteer for one called the
Mhm.
Center for Leadership Development in Indianapolis. I volunteer for a program called Precious Miss, which was middle school girls. I laugh thinking about them. So there were 4 or 5 classrooms. Eventually, I was, the lead facilitator, and I had an assistant in the classroom. These
Mhm.
girls would come in every fall. It was 8 weeks, every Saturday morning for 8 weeks, and they would have attitude. And these were mainly,
Oh,
African American
yeah.
girls. They didn't
It's
know
middle
each other.
school.
They were sleepy. It was early in the morning. They would have their do-rags on their heads. They'd be looking at me like, "Who are you? What do you want?" I'm
Mhm.
like I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna do these great things. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna encourage you to be your best." And they're like, "Mm-hmm." But I tell you what, but by week 3, couldn't get them to be quiet. And I did this program for 6
Wow.
years, and it was always the same. First week, they were like, "Who are you? What do you want?" By week 3, couldn't get them to be quiet. They had made friends. They running around, and they, Miss Erica," and I'm like, "Sit
Mhm.
down. We're gonna do some empowering today."
Yes.
And that's how it started. And but let me tell you about that experience. As much as it hopefully helped these young ladies, it was doing something miraculous for me that I
Mhm.
didn't even know was possible. Because this is what happens when you give of yourself. This is the beauty of philanthropy and of using your experiences to help
Yeah.
somebody else.
Mhm.
It gives 360 degrees.
Yes. Yes, it does.
So in the midst of that, I started a business called Living Her Purpose,
Mhm.
where I was doing speaking and writing and helping people to start nonprofit organizations. And I really enjoyed that. And simultaneously, I was doing my master's degree in nonprofit management. So that was working well. And then I knew that I wanted a PhD. So I began to work toward that. And check this out. On my personal statement, I had to write to get into this staunch program in Washington, D.C. to study social welfare policy at this elite university.
Yeah.
I wrote about my experiences with how philanthropy changed my life. And I
Mhm.
said, and I quote, that experience with those middle school girls saved me $50,000 in therapy.
Wow.
It's the truth. And I wrote that because I felt like if I'm going to go up uproot my life and move to Washington D.C. and do this, these people need to know who I am.
Mhm. Mhm.
So if you can deal with if you can deal with that, what I wrote,
Yeah.
then this will be fine. But if I'm not the type of student that you're looking for, then I might not be right for your program, and that's okay
Right.
too. So fast forward, that was in 2014. I graduated in 2019, and now I have the audacity to be a professor there at the very same school where I did my doctoral work. So, amen.
Wow. That is So, so amazing, just to hear your journey of persevering and just keep going. I think, um, you will touch so many lives because there's someone who needs to see this. And, yes, this is a cancer show, but some of the topics that we talk about is outside of that. And this is an example of one. There is some young girl that's out there or even a boy who has gotten a girl pregnant, or even with their own circumstances that has the odds stacked against them because of again the lack of resources or just whatever.
Yeah.
Listen, someone had told me, and they say, you know what, life be lifing. Okay, so in your case, life
It
was
do be.
lifing for you,
It do be. It's so funny that you
and
say that because I'm just now realizing that this is what life on earth often is.
yes,
Stop looking for it to be heaven. It's
hmm,
not.
yeah,
So get
it's
that in your system.
you gotta be
It's
realistic about
hard.
what's going on.
It's
And
hard.
someone's gonna be able to see you and to be able to, "You know what? I can make it." Because it doesn't matter
Mhm.
if I didn't get an actual high school diploma. It doesn't matter if I'm a teenage mom or if I had multiple kids before 20. I can not only get a GED and still have a career and a good paying career, but then I could also keep excelling and be a part of an elite school and then also get my doctorate. There's not a lot of people that has a doctorate. So kudos to you for getting all
Thank
the way up
you.
there. You are an
Thank you.
inspiration to not only me, but to all of our roses that's out there. And you know what? I call everyone our roses because a blue rose means to attain the impossible, and you embody that. As well as cancer survivors, they embody what a blue rose is. So you definitely are attaining the impossible because, one thing you know how to do is to fight. So,
Mm,
let's transition to your love and cancer. So you were saying
mhm.
that you were dating your now husband as you
Yeah.
were finding out what was going on about your whole cancer journey. Talk about your love story a little bit.
Sure. So we met May 2017, and I was at the point that I finally was done trying to get a man to love me.
Mm,
It was over.
wow.
Um, mhm. And so we met. I had just joined a new church, and he was a member there, a very faithful member at that. Yeah, always involved in things and being helpful and a greeter on Sunday mornings at the front door, just a wonderful person. So we met and he in a meeting, and then he walked me down the street, and I thought he was going to his car. I didn't know where he was going. He just talking, and I'm just like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
we're talking back and we're laughing." And he's like, "Oh, you're from Indianapolis? Oh, I'm from Dayton, Ohio." I'm like, "Oh, that's nice, great." So we get to the end of a corner, and he tries to be smooth, and he's like, "Since you from Indy, I bet you still got your number." And I'm looking at him like, "Mhm." He said, and so he pulls this thing out of his Bible, and he writes, and it shocked me. He says, "So I'm sure it starts with 317." I was like, he
Mm-mm.
had applied for some jobs in Indianapolis at one point.
Wow.
So he knew that, and he wrote 317 dash. And I looked at him and I said something to him that almost shocks me now. I said, you seem like a really nice guy. And he said, "I am."
Mm,
I said, "Okay, well, I'm new to this church, and I'm living by a new philosophy that I would like to get to know nice guys by what they do and not by what they say."
mm.
And then I said, kind of like what Jesus said. "Do you know what Jesus said?" Mind you, I had never said nothing like that to a man ever.
Ah,
You know what he says to me?
what do you say?
He did like this. You will know them by their fruit.
You was like, "Ding." Like,
I
"Okay."
was like,
Got my ears wide open right now.
I just tried to play cool.
Mhm.
And I said, it was nice meeting you. And I left him standing there. And I walked off in another direction and I didn't even look back. A month later, I saw him the second time because the church had different service times. So I wasn't guaranteed to ever see him. And honestly, I wasn't looking for him.
Mhm.
I was dealing with a situation that was really, really tough. And I went to church that morning and he was greeting at the door that morning. And when he saw me, all he said was, "Hey." And he reached out his arms to hug me.
Mhm.
Girl, I about melted. I needed a hug so bad.
Yeah.
And I just said back, and
Just
I
like,
just went on and I just went on in service. He didn't say anything else. I just
mhm.
went on in. A
Wow.
month later, we had another meeting. So this is now 2 months after I initially met him. So I come into the meeting and he sees me, he's grinning, and he said, hey, Erica. I say, "Hey, Brandon, how's it going?" "I'm good. I got 2 tickets to this tennis event. You wanna go?" As in, never mind about all that, you wouldn't talk to me, never mind. He was like, "Whatever."
Mhm.
He was like he said, "Do you wanna go?" So then I tried to be kinda cute. I said, "Will you be there?"
Mm.
He said, "Yeah," 'cause he just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he's not like he's not a player. He's
Mhm.
not trying to be smooth. He's just an authentic dude. He's like,
He's a
"Yeah, I'll be
genuine man.
there." So I said, "Sure." So I gave him my email address and I met him there, but little did he know it was on the campus of George Washington University where I was a student. He didn't know that.
Mhm.
And so I met it was down the block from where I lived. He didn't know
Mhm.
that. He didn't need to
Mhm.
know that. So afterwards, he said, "Well, can I see you home?" I said, "I'm okay,
Mhm.
but I'll walk you to the metro, the subway station." He's like, You sure?" I said, "Yes, I'm sure." And then afterwards, I sent him a message and said, It was really nice getting to know you. You're such a gentleman." And he said the same. And then after that, it just took off, let's just say. Next thing I knew, we were just inseparable. And a year later, he proposed to me. So I
That's
had to take my time to tell all of that because, ladies, this is important. The man who findeth a wife findeth a good thing.
mhm.
This
Absolutely.
is the truth. I know that it's 2022, we're empowered, we can do anything. All of that is
Mhm.
true. But there are some things that require a process
Mhm.
and must happen in a certain order. And that is
Absolutely.
one of them.
Yes. And there's things that you can do, as a couple together that you wouldn't have done by yourself. This is something about having that connection that can really just put things in order for that. God could
In
bless any
order.
type of things. Yeah, in order. So even if you are single and doing stuff too, like God will bless, what he wants to bless. So I mean, that's not
Yeah.
necessarily the only way, but God definitely likes the order of that and having your husband find you and to be able to support you and to be able to love you through cancer. It's something about having a man love you when you have breast cancer, like or just cancer period because cancer if you have to have chemo it can change the way you look sometimes with losing your hair your skin how it looks and everything like that, but to have someone like him to love your authentic self Has to be a good feeling.
It is. It really is. I was diagnosed in April of 2018. He proposed in May.
Mhm.
He was fully aware of the situation. Um, so yeah.
I love it. I want to
Me too.
highlight some of our guests that is watching. We have the miraculous Zell Randall who is watching. She was actually our first guest on this show, and she's also the CEO of Living Brave Through Breast Cancer. She's actually having a gala that's coming up July 30th. I believe it's $80 per ticket, sis. So go ahead and do that. I'm actually one of the honorees. I'm actually really excited about that. So thank you for being on the show, sis. And she also said she wished she had your help when she first started. She has a nonprofit that she gives back to breast cancer survivors for both men and women who is fighting breast cancer, but then she's also evolving into just cancer in general. So thank you. And actually, she's the one who actually produces my shirts too. So she just like does everything. So you guys make sure you follow her
Wonderful,
as
wonderful.
well.
And if I'm able to, just because, from the beginning, there you can always learn techniques to make
Mhm.
your nonprofit stronger. So please reach out to me, and I am glad to help. Erica at inspire2excel.com. Two
Awesome.
is
I
T-O.
will do a soft email warm
Mhm.
off between you two. Love it. See, guys, you come on here and we're all about networking too. So one thing that I love about Erica as well as Mary, who's on this show, and Zell, we are all women who love to help each other. And literally all of us are breast cancer survivors. And even if we overlap and do different things, we're all about supporting each other. I think that it's really important to support each other in whatever way that we can. And even if you're not a breast cancer survivor, I just love to help people. I think that's just part of the gift that God has given me, and I believe that is yours as well because of being able to deal with those teenagers who had the attitudes and the do rags, and it takes a special person to be able to look past that and to really dig into their heart and to help them
Yeah,
with all
yeah.
of
Well,
that.
it wasn't hard because I was them.
Yeah,
And I knew that. I was like, "All this bravado y'all got, whatever. Come
yeah.
on." It melted away quickly.
I love it. We got
Yeah.
Cassandra Jordan on the show. She said, "Amen. Congratulations. Thank you for
Thank you, Miss
joining us,
Cassandra.
beautiful." You know what? I think this is the first time on the show that I've had all three channels at one time. We got Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn all in one spot. So kudos to all three of these channels of everyone who is watching on there. I love
Mhm.
it. Thank you, Mary, for saying that the shirts are beautiful. And Zell had also said, Erica, if you're in the Detroit area in July, she's giving you an invitation. You can help
I
celebrate life.
love it. I can't wait to connect with you.
Yes. And hold on, you guys are going strong with the comments today. I love it. Says strong women.
30
I am a
years
30-year.
survivor.
Yes.
All
I was
right.
21 and now I'm 72. You better get it. I love it. I
All
love hearing stories
right.
like
And
that.
looking good. I know that's right.
Yes. One of the things as a survivor, sometimes you can feel apprehensive about getting older because you wonder, are you going to relapse again? And I just love seeing stories like this saying, I am a 30-year survivor. Thank you, Cassandra, for sharing your testimony with that. And if you want to be on the show, holler at me. I just want to throw that out there. Let's get back to you. Um, I know that you are heavy into your faith, and part of doing that is getting your husband, having him find you to be able to do that. Tell me about how your faith has helped you in not only to beat cancer, but then to also in your career.
You would go here. When I found out I had cancer, I was mad at God.
Mhm. That's an honest answer. It's about being raw.
hmm I was quite upset. Um, I've been through some really, really tough situations, and what I believed was that once I got rebaptized when I was 38 years old,
Mhm.
that that meant that now, as long as I follow what the Bible says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, lean not
Mhm.
unto your own understanding, um, that my path would be straight. I thought that's what it meant. That's what it
Mhm.
says.
Mhm.
So, to get a cancer diagnosis when I was intentionally doing my best to follow God's will, not perfection, no one is,
Mhm.
but intention, um, being prayerful, not only attending church, but really studying God's word,
Mhm.
being helpful, serving at church, um, doing my best to think well of others, even when I don't want to.
Mhm.
Um, and then to find out I had cancer. And then on top of that, I had friends who I know would look to me sometimes when they would go through things,
Mhm.
and some of them wouldn't say it, but I would do my best to come at situations from the position of godly wisdom.
Mm.
And then I have cancer? How do I explain
Mhm.
that? Bishop Jakes, TD Jakes likes to say this a lot. Satan's sitting back like, where is your God now?
Mhm. Mhm.
I
And
went
some people are waiting
from,
to say that.
yeah,
That's a
all
whole
that she
'nother
was talking
topic.
about, that ain't nothing. What? She
Mhm.
got cancer? What? Um, I went from my at the time boyfriend and I took this beautiful picture that would end up being on our wedding invitation on Easter Sunday
Mhm.
to being bald headed by June. No eyebrows. That probably freaked me out the most was the
Mhm.
eyebrows. I was like, I can deal with wearing a hat, but I don't have no eyebrows.
Mhm.
Really? Um, and it's a shame I'm talking about physical things, but hey, yeah, yeah. And then of course, having to go to cancer treatments once a week or so, and then um what it was doing to my life. Don't even get me started. I
Mhm.
had an agenda, you understand. I was on a schedule of when God's blessings were going to happen in my life, which now sounds ridiculous even saying it.
Yeah.
But all these promises, I mean, God told me to go to Washington, D.C. That's clear.
Mhm.
Was with me every step through that program. Listen, Kim, there were days I used to sit in those classes when I first got there. I didn't even know these people were talking about. I was like, these people, that person just recited the Constitution. Like, what is it you talking about? These theorists, I was like, I never studied any of that. What?
Mhm.
And I got through all of it. So you mean to tell me I did all of that and now I have cancer?
Mhm.
And oh, by the way, while I had cancer, I was beginning to write my dissertation.
Wow.
So I was expecting to graduate the next year and to get married in between there. You know, cancer wasn't on my agenda.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hard pause.
So all these blessings, and other things, to be really honest with you, just gonna tell you this. Having cancer is not the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I'll just say that.
Mhm.
Because when Satan messes with your children,
Yeah.
mhm,
Absolutely.
mhm, and a lot of that was going on too at the same time, simultaneously.
Mm.
And I was asking God, really? Really?
Wow.
And he was like, yep, really? And I got you. So, yeah. So to be perfectly honest with you, it wasn't all woo, big faith.
Mhm.
I was mad at God. But a friend of mine said something so wise some years ago that even when you mad at God, you wrestling with God,
Mhm.
it's not a statement of I don't believe in you. No, I believe I'm wrestling with you. I'm
Mhm.
like Jacob
Mhm.
in the ring.
Mhm.
Of
Mhm.
course I lose every time. But what I have learned is that every bit of it is purposeful
Absolutely.
and that it is the truth. Romans 8:28 and 29. All things work together for the good
Together.
of them who love
Yes.
God, the called according to his
His purpose. Mhm.
purpose. And it ain't gonna look the way you thought it would.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I was pretty upset with God. And then little by little, everything just began to unfold. I almost think of it like a flower that was real tight and then
Mhm.
just began to
Just
bloom.
blossom.
And I could actually feel my body healing.
Wow.
hmm I knew it. I mean, my hair began to grow back and my skin just looked better. And I could just feel there's just something I just knew I was healing. And I've been healed ever since. So by the end of that calendar year, I was cancer free and I have been ever since. It's been over 3 years.
Wow. That's wow. I'm thankful that you were honest about your journey, about because again, not everyone is strong in their faith. You could be a believer and then have doubts. I mean, think of doubting Thomas. So, but the biggest thing is that you didn't give up, and then you allowed time for his word to get inside you and for you to finally start getting that healing that you needed. Because I mean, like, it's a long journey to get things thrown at you, and when you're doing things right, you get angry, like, okay, like, God, if I'm doing everything right, why are you doing this to me?
You reap what you sow. Remember that?
And
Where's
it's
that?
like
What?
like like where's my benefits here? However, it's funny, it's funny who God chooses to give some of these rough tasks to. When you think about
Oh,
Martin Luther
good.
King and yeah, just um the poet Maya Angelou. Just you just think about people's stories, and you think about after their stories of how it affected so many people. It took for Martin Luther King Jr. to lose his life. However, it was so impactful for generations to come about what his thing is. So even like we can't lean into our own understanding. We have to really trust in the Lord in all things. So like I thank you for being honest about that. I do want to make sure we have some time to talk about your business that's going on and talk about the social impact that you are working on and the different things about working for nonprofits and government agencies and how you uplift women. So I'm gonna just be quiet and let you run off with that.
Okay. I appreciate so much what you just said. To him or her, when much is given, much is expected.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what I now realize. Um, so I'm going to tell you just quickly. I've spent the last, how old am I? I've spent the last 35 years of my life trying to undo the things that took me off course,
Mm-hmm.
believing that I was to become this person who never existed.
Mm, that's good.
I believed that those things took me off course from who I was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I have been in a fight to go reclaim her.
Mm-hmm.
All the while, God is saying that person never existed. You are the person that I created. God does not create sin, but he will turn that thing around. Hezekiah
Mm,
Walker, how's that song go? I'm reaping the promise that basically the promises of
reaping the promise
God.
that promised me, take back what the devil
Yes,
stole from me.
restore me, and I rejoice today, for I
Mhm,
shall recover it all.
mhm,
But there was a different path that he had.
mhm. Yeah.
So here I am.
Yes.
So I am the CEO and owner of Inspire to Excel, which is a career coaching firm that empowers women to gain and retain good jobs. Okay. So what's a good job? Well, no, no. What is a good
A
job?
good job.
Right,
Yes.
right. And by the way, I spell that with 4 O's and it is trademarked. All right.
Hey, that's
So a
trademark your
good
stuff, guys.
job is one that pays
Mhm,
at least a living wage, that respects people as human beings. It's a
mhm.
shame that we even have to say that, but that is not what's going on out here in too
Yeah.
many cases. It is a job that a woman is excited and motivated to get up and go because their company is investing in them
Mhm,
through professional development. And just as importantly as all of that, it is a job where a woman gets to either carry out public service
mhm,
or to create great social impact. So, what do I mean? So, maybe because a woman has gone through an experience like having cancer or being impoverished when they were younger, or maybe hmm, they were homeless growing up,
mhm.
they have a burning in their belly. I am going to help people who are in similar situations. I want a job where that is what I do for a living. I help people in those similar situations. I am the career coach to call if that is what you're seeking. Don't get me wrong, you are going to get paid.
Mhm.
Okay. Ain't nobody working for free. And
Right.
a good job is not about minimum wage or you having to scrap to live.
Yes.
But I'm talking about those things are just the foundation. But here at the pinnacle is you are also able to live a life that you are grateful for through your work. Okay.
Yes.
So it could be for a nonprofit. You could also work for a corporation. Any more corporations are beginning to get it,
Mhm,
meaning they may have a corporate social responsibility program. They might have a corporate foundation that they are related to, that they through which they do good work in the community. Maybe you want to be a community relations director. You hear
mhm.
community, community, community. That's the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do something that relates to social justice for
Mhm.
an organization. I can help you do that. Why? Because I have had those roles before in lots of organizations. And then the third one is if you want to work for government. You know, government sometimes gets a bad rap, but a purpose of government is to serve the people. So
Mhm.
if you don't feel that they're doing a good job, then you get in there and you help them do
Give them a
better.
break. Mhm.
Okay? So that could mean if you want to work for the health department or maybe for the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, etc. So again, I am a coach that empowers women to gain and retain good jobs that pay well, that treat you with respect, and through which you can do great social impact and public service.
I love it. If you guys have been watching, I have been dropping her personal links on there. So on her personal LinkedIn right there is Erica D. Walls there. And then on her company LinkedIn is Inspire to Excel. So make sure that you follow both of those LinkedIn things. But then also don't stop there. Head over to our website at www.inspired2excel.com. So make sure that you follow her and those particular channels on there. I thank you for being here today. We are just a little bit over an hour. So I thank you guys for staying a little bit over with us today and on your lunch break watching with us. Mary did had to go. So she said, thank you. Congratulations again to all of that. I truly Thank you just for just sharing your honest, raw testimony about faith, but then also about your journey, about how, you betted on yourself. You betted yourself to have a better career. You betted on yourself just to have a better life for your children, but then your family as well. So I just thank you for being here today. Is there any last things that you wanted to say today?
I just want to say thank you so much for having me today, for this platform, for what you are doing, for giving a voice to cancer survivorship, that we are victorious. We are
Yes.
victorious. And also to Miss Mary Wells, thank you, dear sister, for connecting me with Kim.
Yes. Yeah, that's how we got connected. That's right. Yeah. It's so funny. I absolutely love it. Um, Before we go, I do want to say one last thing to my listeners. Typically, I talk about the how you can donate to Survivors Corner, because we do every time you buy a T-shirt, one automatically gets donated to someone who's automatically going through active treatment at the hospitals. But I'm doing something a little bit different. I had a speaking engagement, and I had offered them something special, and I want to offer it to our listeners here today. So if you go to survivorscorner.net and you want to get this survivor shirt that you see behind me, it's going to be only for $20 for that. So those won't get donated. But however, if you typically they're a little over $30 for that. And again, it's because we want to kind of give back. So if you are interested and you want to get a survivor shirt that talks about to carry on despite hardships and trauma and about persevering, you can get that for $20 up until tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. On survivorscorner.net. And again, you can travel a little bit more about things about what's going on with me in that. So we have a last few guest comments. We have Zelda says she's so proud of both of you. Thank you again for hanging
Thank
with
you.
us, sis. She said, great job as always. And Cassandra Jordan said, thank you, ladies. I really enjoyed the talk and continue to be strong. So
You
again, I
too.
just thank you again, Erica, just for being able to pour into others, and make sure that you check in with us next week. We have another dynamic guest who is going to just be so transparent. She's also had a podcast as well. So you're going to have two podcasters just going back and forth, just giving you guys some really good information. So she is going to be on Monday at noon, May 23rd, which is actually my 5-year cancer diagnosed anniversary. So you don't want to miss it.
Look at
Make sure that you
you.
are tuned in next Monday at 12 o'clock. But until then, you guys have a good day. Make sure you go to inspiretoexcel.com and survivorscorner.net. Take care, everybody, and have a marvelous Tuesday.
Bye.